Ready to go. And you're not waiting for anybody else to get into the Zoom room right now?
I'll just let folks in as they arrive.
Okay, perfect. Great. Thanks, everybody. My name is Martha Loachman, a Boulder County Commissioner. This is the subcommittee of the Consortium of Cities. So just to clarify, we are here. It's July 17th, 2024. And this is a follow-up conversation from our June 5th Consortium of Cities meeting, which is one of our regular meetings. We're continuing to talk about the topics around disaster response and also preparedness and also recovery. And so we had started in that realm of how do we prepare. And so just to clarify, because I know there were some folks that weren't able to join us in June, but also have watched the video or portions of from our last meeting. And so what I really want us to focus on tonight, we have about 40 minutes or so that we'll be together. We may not need all that time. We'll see. We've got some staff from Office of Disaster Management and Boulder County to talk about some of the initiatives. The last conversation was how can we as elected officials elevate some of the messaging and the disaster preparedness work that is already happening. So I just want to clarify that we are not building anything. We're not going to create anything. We're not going to hire anybody. We are instead going to use what is already existing. And the thought was, because September is a National Preparedness Month, that might be a really great way for us to do that work. And again, not have to build anything new, but use what's already going to be in process. So just to get us all on the same page, and also bring just a reminder about one piece of what we talked about, and that we'll also go into some other work as a consortium in the other pieces of disaster recovery and also other pieces that we talked about. But that is what this subcommittee is about and what we're going to be doing. And so before the evening finishes, or our meeting finishes, I should say, we'll be talking about who wants to be involved and what that might look like for a future meeting or two. The ask is really between today, July 17th, and the month of September this year. So from that perspective, it's a short ask and a short opportunity to get more involved and help us do some just elevating of messaging and trying to bring more community members into the know about the disaster preparedness. So that is what we're here about. And I'm going to go ahead and give folks, because we always do a quick intro with your name and your title. If your title doesn't explain where you are regionally, go ahead and add that, just because I think it can be really helpful for folks to know the breadth of the work that we're doing and folks. And of course, as always, I want to just say thank you to all the staff. It is after 5 o'clock. And elected officials, we sign up for 24/7 all the time, and our staff doesn't, and they're here to support us in our work. And so I just want to acknowledge that and really appreciate the public service and the amount of work that happens through our region. So with that, I'm going to call from the screen that I'm looking at, and if I miss somebody, don't be happy to interrupt, and that's completely fine. So I'm going to start with Councilmember McCoy, and then Councilmember Kern, and then it looks like, let's see here. We'll hear from Monica here in a minute, and then from Allison James.
Okay, I'm Sean McCoy, Longmont City Council, and a member of the Consortium of Cities. And I think that's it, right?
Thank you.
Hi, Judy Kern, City Council for City of Louisville.
Thank you.
Monica Weber, Boulder Office of Disaster Management Coordinator.
Allison James, Town of Superior, Disaster Preparedness and Recovery with Emergency Management sprinkled in.
Thank you. Councilmember Fay, and then it looks like Sama, and if I'm mispronouncing, I really apologize. And then Dion.
Deb Fahey, I'm Louisville City Council Person, Ward 2.
Thank you.
Sama Fox, you had it right, Louisville Interim City Manager.
Thanks for joining.
Ian Finning, Director, Longmont Office of Emergency Management.
Thank you. And then we've got Chris, Kiana, Ryan, and then Allison.
Good evening, everyone. Chris Meschuk. I'm the Deputy City Manager for the City of Boulder.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Kiana Freeman, Recovery and Resilience Manager for the City of Louisville.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Ryan Airy, Boulder County Recovery and Resilience Division.
Thanks.
Hi, Allison Eklund, Boulder County Communications Office of the County Administrator, and listening in also for the Commissioner's PIO who couldn't be here tonight.
Thanks for joining us. Councilmember Hammerly and then Mark.
Hi, sorry, I'm having computer issues, but Sandy Hammerly, trustee Town of Superior.
Thank you. We heard you. Thanks for
Yeah.
joining.
Thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. Mark Rosen here in the Boulder County Commissioner's Office, standing in for Nick Robles, who I was going to say is unfortunately he's having to miss this meeting, but he's on vacation, so he's probably not too sad about it.
Thanks, Mark, for your support. And I'm intentionally not introducing Mike because I'm going to turn the meeting over to him here in just a second. So I just want to again appreciate both Monica Weber and Mike Chard for being here. And Mike Chard has been doing a lot of work, outreach events all over the place, joined us in a town hall last night over in Superior and a previous one, and has also been leading some of our conversation for Consortium of Cities for all of us as electeds as well. So Mike, I'm going to turn over the meeting to you. I appreciate you being here.
Thanks, Commissioner. Good evening, everybody. Mike Chard, Director with the Office of Disaster Management for the City of Boulder and Boulder County. And I will let Monica go in here. She has a ton of information, but I also want to highlight and lift the other people that we have on the call that we talk about September being Preparedness Month. I want to make sure that we share and give some space for Superior. I see Allison here and also Kiana with Louisville and Dion from Longmont. And anyone else that if they're tracking anything around activities or needs around September and that Preparedness Month, space. Once we get done with kind of highlighting what we currently have for particular programs and products, we'll move to that discussion and do some Q&A, and should be an action-packed, fun-filled hour. So, Monica, it is all yours. Take it away.
All right, I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully this goes smoothly. You all should see momentarily some slides. Thumbs up or something if you can see it.
Looks good.
Great. Awesome. So again, Monica Weber, coordinator with Boulder Office of Disaster Management. And in our non-disaster times, I focus and my role is all about the community outreach and education around preparedness. So that's why you're stuck with me here tonight. And we'll go over kind of what summer programs have been looking like currently and have been looking this way for the last year and a half or so, and then things that are upcoming for fall, specifically around Preparedness Month. So with that, getting into just what we're going to go over, again, programs, the resources that we have available, which I'll encourage everyone on this call, like as was mentioned, if you don't want to recreate the wheel, don't. Please use these things because we don't have any kind of holding them close to the chest sentiments around them. They're created so that people can use them across the board, and then going over a draft of our National Preparedness Month calendar. But again, just a draft on that, so don't commit anything too firm to memory unless it has a date attached with it. So with this preparedness programs that we do have, there's a variety of them that are kind of on rotation throughout the year. The first one being our Disaster Preparedness Basics. And this is a program that we offer quarterly. It is also offered by request. So if people from different HOAs, community groups, staff offices want this to be provided and facilitated for them, happy to come out and do that. We've done that with Boulder Rotary Club, a few of our HOAs, volunteer fire departments, you name it, we will go do it. It's 90 minutes and it covers hazards within the county so that if folks are newer to the area or just haven't experienced some things, we give context to that. Also go over alert and warning to make sure people understand how to get signed up and what the terminology in those alerts means. And then we go over the risk assessment component, getting folks to think about the environment around them and their own resources, skills, and then also areas that they might feel more vulnerable, and really encouraging folks to start to lean into that support system and look at how they can fill those gaps without having to have the financial means or other things, but leaning into the community around them. And then making a plan is how we round it out, which walks people through basically a worksheet that gets them to think about communication, evacuation, and a grab list. And I'll talk a little bit more in depth about some of those kind of core messages that we have a little bit later on. And I should have mentioned, I can't see the chat currently, but if you have questions throughout, feel free to stop me or throw them in the chat and I can work those in. And then we'll have time, of course, at the end, and then other share outs. But yeah, that's that's the plan there. So that's that first iteration of things that we offer programmatically. Then we also have a train the trainer. This is kind of the disaster preparedness basics beefed up so that if folks want to be able to learn that content and then share it out, help us be a force multiplier, they can participate in Train the Trainer and then hit their communities and share content more confidently, because the whole goal of this program, which we offer twice annually, the next one will be coming up August 20th and 27th. It's an evening program that's on a Tuesday each week, but it's 5 hours total, so 2.5 each time. And with this, we cover all the content from disaster preparedness basics and really leaning into that so folks have a good understanding of it, feel comfortable then sharing that out. And then we go over facilitation skills just so we have some kind of bar set of what we expect for folks as they go out, so that they're being inclusive in how they, go out and explain this and make sure that it is accessible to everyone that they might be trying to reach. And then teach backs are also a part of that program. So making sure that folks can gain that confidence in a space with people who have also learned it, with someone who is from staff here to be able to practice how they would explain these things so that we can kind of be bumpers on that and help give people guidance. So that's second programmatic thing. Third one is an evacuation drill pilot that we're working on. This is something that we're doing with a few of the HOAs in the Wonderland Hills neighborhood in the city of Boulder. And this is a pilot program, so we're testing it out. First session of it was this last Saturday, and it's comprised of 2 events. So a pre-education type of event around evacuation, wildfire, alert and warning, all the components that we want people to know around that preparedness. So that went really well. There was about 30 folks at that who were really engaged. And then we've got the actual drill coming up on July 27th. And what this is not what it might sound like. It's not get in the car and drive all over the neighborhood. Rather, it's for folks that sign up to participate in the drill. They're going to receive a test alert that we've worked with the City of Boulder Comm Center to send out on the 27th. And then they're going to time themselves from the time they get that alert to how quickly they gather up all the things they want to take with them and get in their vehicle. And then they stop their timer. And that's really to help demonstrate to folks like how they might go through that milling phase of stress. And then also how long it really does take them to gather up the medical equipment they need, their sentimental items, their pet, family members, etc., and get in the car and be ready to go, to start to give that real-time understanding. So that I will have more on when we finish it out, but it is all leading up to be a pretty good program that the goal is that we can then implement in other neighborhoods throughout the county. So that's another programmatic thing. And then the last one, which is less public facing, more on the professional side, is our Preparedness Coordination Hub, which started out this year as a way to just bring folks that touch any type of preparedness work together quarterly. And the next one we have is next week, so July 24th, so a week from today. And the goal is really just to make sure that we are not duplicating efforts that might already exist, and that we're creating more consistent messaging so that we're not having 6 different things that people have to learn and think are the word, but rather we're kind of tying that up a little more tightly. So if anyone is interested in coming to that, my email is on the last slide here. If you don't already have it, but reach out and I'd be happy to include you in that. This next week, we're going to be talking about, plans for Preparedness Month and just working through those pieces so that everyone has that awareness in that group as well, so that we can refer community members to those components. So programmatically, that rounds us out there. Want to talk also about our resource library. Oh, Mike, I see your hand up.
So Monica, are you also doing more at your quarterly meeting about trying to get access into other community areas that may not be represented in the normal everyday interactions that we have?
Oh, sure, yes. So there are people, we've invited a variety of folks to that. So folks that touch preparedness, and then also the folks that might be oftentimes just looked over because they are not professionals within this field per se, but it's communities that we know we want to tie into. So like just yesterday, I think this week, met with Isabel Sanchez, who works with a program that is community led within the city of Boulder. So looping her in. Center for People with Disabilities is involved. There's folks from Aftersight radio station that works primarily with blind consumers. So bringing those people in as well so that they've got access to the information, then can help amplify it in the communities that they work with more closely. So our community connectors are involved, lots of folks. I kind of narrowed that down a little too much for this group because it really is much broader than just the professionals that have their hands really deep in the preparedness stuff. So like United Policyholders is looped into that. right? There's lots of other kind of offshoots. So if you want to be involved or you know folks that you think should be involved, definitely refer them over. And Mike, great question.
Thank you.
And yeah, I can't see the chat, everyone, so I apologize if there's things going on in the chat. Just raise your hand and stop me because it's disappeared from my screen somehow.
I'm keeping an eye on the chat for you, Monica. So if something comes up, I'll let you know.
Wonderful. So the next thing that is not quite programmatic, but is a static resource to be able to utilize for folks in a way that you can engage and help to amplify this information is our resource library. This is on our website. Oh, I'm jumping ahead. As I said earlier, all municipalities and organizations, anybody who wants it, please feel free to use this stuff. Take it, do what you want with it. Like I said, there is no sense of like, we have to own this and you shouldn't touch it. The whole goal in creating these is that we have a more localized resource that can be used across the board in our county. So use those materials. But where I was going with this is that you can access the resource library by either scanning the QR code on the screen, or if you go to the website, boulderodm.gov/preparedness/resource-library, you will find a variety of things there. There are handouts, videos, graphics to help just exemplify some of the things and concepts that we're talking about that can be more complicated to just read through. So those are all there to see. Some examples are on the screen now. And then language access is also something that we've been working towards with that. So all of the documents that we have are available on that page in English, Spanish, traditional Chinese, Vietnamese, Korean, and Russian. And we're working to continue to expand that. And those languages were not just picked by throwing something at a dartboard. It was information from language access staff from city and county. But that's what exists on that page. And so again, really encouraging you use those things. All the documents are also screen reader compatible as well. So if you've got folks and community members that you work with that need that, that page is all set to go with that capability as well. And the resource topics that are included on that page, it's everything from alert and warning, preparedness quick steps that are kind of boiled down content. So if folks don't want to read, it's 3 essential bullets that go over that. Evacuation information, both from a pedestrian evacuation standpoint, but then also evacuation decision making. So there's information about that in there, insurance information, power outage preparedness, pet and equine preparedness, and then some information about community organizing as well. While we don't have a formal block captain program or anything like that capacity wise right now, we do have information that if folks are looking to do that on their own in their community, there's some guidance on how they could approach that and things that they should consider as they do that. So those are some of the topics. And if you have other topics that you think we should add, please let me know, because community input and input from all of you is really valuable to us and continuing to expand what we offer. And then just some core messaging points that I wanted to go over quickly, because I think that's helpful. It's things that are featured in the resource library, but wanted to highlight them. This is our quick steps to preparedness document. So it's a little half sheet. And it breaks it down just into, 3 semi-easy steps when you sift through all the rest of the stuff. But number 1 being signing up for alerts, either through BOCO Alert or the ReachWell app. Only 40% of our county is registered for alerts of any kind. So really helping to boost that number is a huge thing, because that's going to get people the information that they can then reliably make decisions about, and just be informed in that way. Step 2, we really encourage folks to assess that risk. So as I mentioned earlier, making sure they're taking into account the environment around them, thinking about, do they live in a canyon that is prone to flash flooding? Do they live up against grassland? Whatever that might be. Do they live at the bottom of a hill that's prone to landslides? Whatever that, hazard might be. And then also assessing their own skills and abilities and resources so that, again, they've got an understanding of that and can start to close those gaps and help lessen that overwhelm, instead of thinking, oh my goodness, I have to do all these things. It's a, where are you most vulnerable? Let's focus in on that. And so really amplifying that message, and then making a plan is how we round it out. Ahead of time, really encouraging folks, look at signing up for alerts, mitigating property, and not just for wildfire, but for any type of hazard that they might be prone to, and then reviewing insurance, because those are really critical things that we know help people in that recovery phase. And then during a disaster, encouraging people to, again, plan for a variety of things. The first one of which is trusting their gut, that if they see, hear, smell, sense that something is wrong, making sure that they take action on that, because we've heard stories from folks who have been through disasters where they are arguing with neighbors about, we have to go, and the neighbor kind of brushing it off, right? And so really making sure that folks know, like, trust your gut. You might be the first person that knows about something who does call 911, and so you should take action to keep yourself safe. but then planning for evacuation, a grab list, which I'll talk about in a sec, and then communication with their support system as well. So that's kind of our like core messaging. If you were to boil it all down, it's this half sheet essentially. And then some highlights just out of those components to bring up. BOCO alert and reach well. These can be confusing for folks because oftentimes they think it's like a whole different system, different alerts. It's all the same information, just a different way to get it. With BOCO alert, you can get call, text, or email, or all three if you'd like. And you're going to put in 5 addresses. So it's kind of narrow scope that if something's happening around those 5 addresses, you'll know about it. Whereas reach well on the flip side gives folks every alert that goes out in the county. So it's just taking all the stuff that would go through BOCO alert, and everybody that uses reach well also gets that. The advantage of it is that if people want to know, they're really mobile around the county. They just would rather have the information, they'll get it. And it also provides alerts in over 120 languages, which is a big help for that language access piece. And it's an app notification. So rather than a phone call or email, it's going to ping off in whatever noise they set their app to. And then just that reminder of the messaging of folks are always their own first form of alert. And that's something that we continue to underscore in everything that we teach, just to get people to take that action rather than waiting for something formal if they're in danger. Next thing just to highlight out of that quick steps thing is evacuation. The components that we really lean into are for folks knowing their routes, making sure that they start to explore different ways to get in and out of their community if they have more than one way. And if they don't, encouraging them to explore non-traditional routes. And I always frame this as like, this is not Monica Weber from ODM saying drive on the bike path if you felt nervous one day, but rather if your safety, your life is in danger, it is okay to go a way that might not normally be allowed, right? And having them look at those areas and make sure that they can assess it based on their own skills, their vehicle, all that ahead of time. But getting folks to think about that. And then also getting folks to think about modes of transportation, because folks might have a vehicle and they think that's always going to be their go-to. But what happens if you go out and it's a quick need and your car doesn't start, or a tree is down over the road and you can't get out, right? So encouraging folks to think through what are those backups? And I always boil it down to like preparedness. We're going to spend an hour together. I'm going to burst your bubble and turn it into one sentence. It's exploring the what ifs, right? And so if your plan A doesn't work, what do you roll to as your next thing? And so for this same kind of thing, it doesn't have to be just a vehicle. It could be a bicycle. It could be on foot. We had someone once who lived in an assisted care home. He was very adamant that no one was coming to get him. And he bought a scooter and he was going to scoot out. And people kind of laughed at that. They're like, that is nuts. But he had a plan. And so really just encouraging folks, like, it can be non-traditional. It needs to be what works for you and your circumstance. So that is what we share around the evacuation component. And then rounding it out, a grab list. I mentioned this earlier, and I realized that not everyone may know what a grab list is. And so with that, this has been a shift for us away from just a go bag. A go bag is not a bad thing by any means. But making sure that folks are taking into account those sentimental or irreplaceable items as well. So grab list is example here on the screen. It's got an item on one side, location of that item on the right. And the goal with this is that it, the reason we shift is it serves as a focusing tool. So when you hit that milling phase and you're stressed and you get the alert, you've got a tool to be able to look at and say, okay, great. I need to get these photos. The ones I care about are the ones in the hall and the cabinet, right? Or whatever it might be. It takes into account those sentimental irreplaceable things, because again, from folks that we've talked with that have lost homes or been through a lot of evacuations, the things that they mentioned that like, oh my goodness, I'm grateful I grabbed this, or I forgot this thing, is those sentimental irreplaceable components. It's also scalable, so that if you think, okay, I think I've got 5 minutes and I gotta go, you can grab a couple of items. And if you have much more time, you can gather more of them. And then lastly, it's just helpful because if you are not home, if you have a support system, a neighbor, a friend, someone close by that has access to your home, they can go in. They shouldn't go into an evacuation area if they're not already there, but they can then grab the pet or, a photo, something that is essential for you, that might help to ground you if your life is to get turned upside down, things that are not just those emergency supplies. And you can see on this list, they still have, this hypothetical person, an emergency bag that's got those things in it that's already set up. That's just in a closet for them, right? Because when we think about those items that might mean a lot to you, that have high value for whatever reason, you're probably probably not gonna just throw them in a bag or a box in a closet and say, I'm gonna keep them there till the bad day hits. Rather, they're important to you probably because you like to utilize them or look at them or have them out and about. So that's just a shift that we've made. So go bag is kind of now nested down into the grab list for us, rather than being the thing that we're telling people have a go bag. It's no, have a grab list. And we've gotten really positive input from community members across the board on this, who have been through evacuations or lived through real world events. So that's what kind of vetted this out for us and why we have kept running with this. And then ways to engage in support. The Preparedness Coordination Hub, as I mentioned, if you want to get involved in that, love to have you there. They're quarterly, so we've got this one in July, and then the next one will be October. And then also just amplifying existing messaging and documents that exist. Because again, if you want to recreate things that might need to be tailored to specific communities, that's wonderful, but really trying to focus in on how we have consistent messaging as best as possible. So that we can have kind of a united front in what kind of things are going there. So that's ways to engage. And then National Preparedness Month. Rolling through our kind of plan for this next slide is going to have a lot of words on it, and I apologize for that. I just wanted to put it all in one. This is a draft of some of the things that we have that will be ongoing. So some of them still getting firmed up, some are ready to go, but each week plan to do one training or outreach event each week so that we're very visible out in the community. Also having our updated disaster preparedness guide roll out. The one that we've had is about 40 pages. We're trying to pare this down so it's a little more reasonable for folks to want to read and digest more quickly. Doing mailers with those preparedness quick steps on them, utility bill inserts around alert and warning signups, signage in different public locations, Chamber of Commerce collaboration, via bus advertising, which just talked to them this morning, and we're able to put signage on a variety of their buses, which is going to be really great. An audio library with the AfterSite radio station, so that folks that don't have internet or just want that audio version for any reason can access that. Also a preparedness video series that will be on the ODM website and social media, and then supporting community-led preparedness program with Isabel in the city of Boulder by providing the alert and warning content for them so that we can supplement that program and support that community-led effort as well. So that's kind of the ongoing component of it. And then the week-by-week breakdown that we have planned, some events that were scheduled quite a ways out, so they're just in this, and then other things that are going to be more pointed. But ongoing that first week, we'll have Netherlands Seniors Group training that's going to happen on September 4th. What's Up Boulder is on September 7th, which is a community event that has a lot of different things going on at it. And then mailers, that second week, disaster preparedness training that we'll do virtually, just to provide that access piece. And then September 16th through 22nd, not fully flushed out yet. It's just training or outreach of some kind and to be determined on the rest. And then that final week, full week of the month anyway, training or outreach of some kind that I still need to get scheduled. And then we've got a gun barrel community event that we were invited to. And then on top of that, the ongoing things we'll continue to push out throughout the month are the videos, public signage, transportation advertising, and then Chamber of Commerce collaboration. So that probably too quickly running through is all the things that we have kind of on the docket, programs that currently exist and things that are upcoming. As mentioned, like this is in draft form still, but we'll be shored up in the next couple of weeks to be able to have a formal kind of set thing that we can then start advertising and allow you all to help amplify as well. But that is my really quick, I went a little bit quicker than I had planned maybe, which is probably a good thing, but contact information's there. If you've got ideas, you want to be added to the Preparedness Coordination Hub, anything else, please feel free to reach out because we're here to support, and yeah, any ways that we can collaborate to unify messaging or efforts is always wonderful. So thank you all for listening, and thank you for the time. And we can, I think, probably shift to questions or report outs for what other folks are doing. And I see Judy and then Allison.
Hi, thank you. That was great. Appreciate it, Monica, as always. I've learned a lot from you in the last few years. Hey, quick question. So some of the video documentation that you have available on ODM's website, is one of them the disaster preparedness basics, like a video of one of them you've done?
There is. I think there's one that's like 17 minutes. So it's a longer haul, and it's a abbreviated version of the basics, because I know that for folks sitting an hour and 15 minutes, they don't want me as their full length the feature film for the evening. Talking at them as a talking head. But yeah, that's something that we're working on and had a meeting today to get some like nicer videos produced that will not just be self-made by me. But yeah, there's a abbreviated version of that on there.
Okay. All right. Because I was just thinking, it made me think of how sometimes that might also like facilitate somebody who went through the train the trainer program in a community to be able to like go through it, follow the video instead of trying to do it by themselves with everyone.
No, that's great too. I'll double check and make sure, and I can do the full length one and have that on there. And if that's a resource, great. And if people don't like it, they don't have to watch it. But yeah, that's a great idea.
So, and then do we have in September, I love the things that you have scheduled. Is there anything that we're specifically planning and working with the schools in September, since kids will be back in school, parents will be more attentive to that, whether that's through BVSD and or any of the private charter schools?
Yeah, that is something that I do need to reach out to them on, because it's been kind of on the docket of things to get to and figuring out how do we get space or into all the things that get pushed out in the beginning of the year. But yeah, BVSD, we chat with them a lot, and then St. Vrain Valley as well. So
Judy,
I was just thinking, sorry, Mike, go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt you there. I would just say that right now, we can have Monica, she'll make contact with their security and preparedness folks, and really all the bandwidth we kind of have with a lot of the work that's going on, that there's also a lot of administrative and management process there and all those other projects. We'll make sure they have access to the information and some of the programs we have. We won't have a lot of bandwidth to actually get in and do program, implementation in the schools. We just don't have the staff support to be able to pull that off right now.
That makes sense. I was actually just thinking, like, how cool would it be if all of these kids did their own grab list and then took it home and showed it to their parents?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Yes. That activates mom and dad a lot of the time, right?
Absolutely.
When the kids come home and tell us what we need to do. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
That's great. Thank you. Allison, I think, is up next.
Thanks for all the info, Monica. I have 3 questions. Who is going to receive the mailers? Do you know yet where those are going?
That will be, so I can do, my plan is to do both county addresses and city. Through FedEx, we can do that where we parcel out. So everybody, hypothetically,
everyone
for
in the
the regular
county
mailers, and then utility bills, it would be City of Boulder folks.
Okay. I will make a pitch for to let everyone on this call know that the county is sending out a publication in English and Spanish with a 2-page spread from the ODM on all of the alerts, messaging, and how to sign up for those, hitting every mailbox in the county in English and Spanish. Hopefully, I know I keep changing the date every time I say it. Hopefully the very end of July or the beginning of August. So maybe that will be a nice complement to the mailer that you're sending out. And then do you know yet, because I know you're going to have limited space in public signage and on bus advertising, what that message is going to be?
I have not determined that yet, because part of me is tempted to do the alert and warning side, but with it being Preparedness Month, because they might be able to get us in. I chatted with the guy this morning. He's like, I think that we could do it. We'll just have to, he's checking on their inventory and kind of schedules with that. So to be determined on if that takes a larger preparedness scope, just alert and warning, leaning slightly toward the larger preparedness, but open to thoughts and feedback if folks have strong opinions on that.
Okay, thanks.
We're starting out that campaign with really focusing on alert and warning. So if there's any other ideas, by all means, but we really want to concentrate on seeing with concentrated effort, can we boost that 40% number up significantly or not? And, really try to increase the participation in our alert and warning system.
Thanks, Mike. I believe that might be all the questions for now.
Yeah. How about we go ahead and just have some of the other emergency managers and preparedness folks, just if there's something you want to share and get more discussion going. So I don't know the right way to go. Is there someone that really is thing's burning a hole in your soul that you want to go first? By all means, jump on in there. Do you want to go?
I'll go. It's always burning a hole in my soul. Are you kidding me? Well, thanks for having this. I just really appreciate being included. I worked with our communications team on development content for Superior's community survey back in 2022 post-Marshall Fire. And we had a lot of disaster type exploratory questions. And through it, we kind of identified a big hunger in our community for preparedness education around some topics. So Taylor Smith and I, who is our disaster recovery specialist, we collaborated with a lot of different groups around these different topics and held about 21 programs in 2023. In 2024, we've held 11 so far with 12 more to go on lots of different topics. And we've worked super close with Monica and appreciate ODM's assistance and guidance because, you know, we're not experts. They're definitely the experts. So helping us through this has been a huge lift for them. And we're active with the Preparedness Coordination Hub. And we've also worked with Kiana, and we share our programming together with all of the Boulder County residents. And we really haven't had like a super full preparedness program where like our online virtual capacity is exceeded because we can host tons of people. So we've just been open to inviting anyone that wants to come. We use ODM materials for our events, for projects like, you know, we're doing the wildfire partner neighborhood assessment projects in all of our neighborhoods, engaging with them, seeing what that report comes out like for home hardening and landscape hardened yards. And we're going to be engaging with those residents on events to kind of go over those reports. And at that time, we'll also offer preparedness tips and guidelines from ODM. So we really appreciate that. You know, support and materials is really nice to have. We launched our video library a while back. It has a lot of preparedness content, including one of Monica's preparedness basics, or if not two, are on our video library too, because we just kind of piggyback together on topics. And we find that one-off requests of residents, you know, it's super handy for people to be able to jump in our video library and watch it, and we don't have to throw a program for just one or two people because, you know, sometimes people are not ready until they're ready, especially our fire families. We're also doing prevention certification to train staff, you know, to have staff that are teachers like myself to train our staff, and then have it for our community as well with Boulder County Public Health. So they've been super helpful in that area. And as far as National Preparedness Month, we're doing a quick campaign called Superior Keeps It Simple. And it's a little 4-week series that'll be on like social media, newsletters. And we have like the 4 major hit topics like Monica is talking about, you know, staying informed, how to sign up for stuff, you know, the alerts and everything, the grab list, kind of general preparedness, animal preparedness with the animal app for people to sign up for help in emergencies, and then evacuations. So I think we're all pretty much falling in line with, you know, the experts and trying to, you know, use consistent materials so that people don't get confused, that our language is the same, and, you know, keeping up with collaboration so that Monica knows if we made a connection, we're in the Preparedness Hub and we're sharing those connections with the rest of the community. So that's my burning, you know, information there.
Thank you. That's great. We do appreciate the partnership too. Anyone else?
I can go for Louisville. Kiana Freeman, Recovery and Resilience Manager. So Louisville, this will be the first Preparedness Month with the Recovery and Resilience Division. So a lot of partnership with ODM and all of our partners. We have a schedule built out, which will be shared at the Preparedness Coordination meeting next week, which is exciting. We're also in line with same topics, alert warning, BOCO, pushing out BOCO alert signups, and the new keyword text, which is very exciting, making sure, you know, we're sharing that same messaging. We're also thinking of doing some events, which include animal preparedness that Allison mentioned, family and family preparedness, general disaster preparedness, and then actually an event around building grab lists. So those are the kind of event type things that we are planning for in Louisville. And then, as Allison mentioned, a lot of content. So similar to what ODM's going to be pushing out, what our partners are going to be pushing out, everything from mitigation to disaster preparedness. I feel like those two go hand in hand. So we'll be sharing a lot of information that our open space teams are going to be planning for wildfire mitigation. CWPP is going to be coming out, and so information sharing that on the mitigation front. And then I could be missing one off of my list. Let's see. I think that's probably the bulk right now. We will be testing BOCO alerts, as the group knows. And so a lot of this will lead up to that exercise and test. So more to come. If anyone has questions for Louisville and how we can partner, feel free to reach out to me or Sama, who's on the line. We're happy to get you guys connected to the right individuals. Thank you.
Thanks, Kiana.
I'll jump in real quick, and just in the interest of time, I'll try to keep it very brief. In Longmont, we have a program called Be Ready Longmont. It is based on the curriculum of How to Prepare for Everything by Aaron Titus. He's got a book, How to Prepare for Everything. And what his whole thing is, he focuses more on don't worry so much about what the hazard or threat could be, because it could be anything, and trying to prepare for every single individual hazard could be counterproductive, excuse me, but rather let's look at the common impacts that all hazards can play, or all disasters can play in your life, and how you can prepare for what he calls then life disruptions, basically. And it's your common things like communications, food and water, shelter, documentation, finances, pets, so on and so forth. And so it's just it's a curriculum that we go through. It's a lot of group discussion where people share, they talk to each other and they share their experiences that they've had in disasters. But we also come with a worksheet that helps them kind of cross-reference what kind of impacts are common with certain disaster types. And then they are able to, they have a second worksheet they fill out. If I prepare for 24 hours, 72 hours, a week or longer, what does that look like for me? 24 hours is going to be vastly different versus if this is a larger impact, I'm going to be out of my home for 2 weeks. There's quite a bit of difference there in what your preparedness actions are going to be. So that's in a nutshell our program. It's a program that we try to encourage when we do presentations, 90 minutes, but we understand that a lot of groups aren't able to give that kind of time. So we have customized it all the way down to 30 minutes, not preferable, but we can go, we deliver that training pretty much as it's requested. And then we offer a few sessions throughout the year. Sorry, looking forward to September. We will probably have several of these Be Ready Longmont presentations. I don't have any at hand right now, but we will get the word out on those and develop those. Right now we're looking at September. We're looking at the Safety House. If you're not familiar with the Safety House, it's a building on a trailer that Steve Johnson, a local resident, brings around to different events, and he does a really good job of having kids go through the Safety House and go through a bunch of different demonstrations of what they can do to prepare for a wide number of disasters and hazards. But that's gonna be at the Farmers Market on the 14th. There's a air show at Vance Brand Airport that it looks like we're gonna have a public safety presentation table at, and then Rhythm at Roosevelt, excuse me, is on September 21st, and we'll also have a table and tent there.
Great. Thanks, Dion. Let's see, missing anyone else? Hi, Tim.
Sorry, it's like I've never used Zoom before. Thank you. I'm just here to learn. Mayor Pro Tem Wong was scheduled to be on and couldn't make it this evening, so I'm just learning from you all. I really appreciate this. I relay it back to him. I wish I could share with you what we have planned. I'm just subbing right now, and we'll get back to you. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for joining us.
So as far as looking ahead real quick, before I do that, we did have a fire recently, as you all know, and we were able to deploy, I think it was the first incident where we used the new keyword capability. So Allison, I don't know if you would mind don't put you on the spot, but feel comfortable maybe relating how that went and what sort of community feedback we had and what
Yeah,
amenities is
sure.
available.
Yeah, it was exciting. It was our first opportunity to use it, and luckily it was a small enough incident that it actually felt like good practice. And okay, so it's BOCO info. You text BOCO info to 888-777, and we had put out the press release Monday, and then the fire happened Friday, and by Friday at 4 we had almost 8,000 people sign up. So that definitely got people's attention. I haven't checked. I'd be curious. The feedback, I was reading through some of the social media comments today. People were very happy to have it. I think Boulder Reporting Lab said they were happy to have it at the bottom of one of their articles that they had received 10 updates that seemed much more clear to them than tracking things on social media. What we're learning is that there's some confusion between BOCO Alert and now what we're calling BOCO Info. So we're going to work on some videos for social media, and maybe Monica and I were in an email today talking about one clear page on ODM, so you can just share that link with people that describes BOCO, signing up for BOCO Alerts, the emergency alerts, the Reach Well app where you receive all of those alerts, and BOCO Info, where what we're saying is where you receive updates to stay informed during a disaster. So that's kind of how we're differentiating. And that's the biggest feedback. I think people were very excited to have it, but some confusion. Some people thought BOCO Alerts was going away.
And do the messages that go out on BOCO Info get translated?
Thank you, Mike.
Well, I'm just curious.
They're all going straight through the ReachWell app now, just like BOCO Alerts. So if you do have the ReachWell app, this is a great point. Search for BOCO Alerts and BOCO Info. You'll want both. You'll want to check both of those so that you're getting all of those. And what's also exciting about BOCO Info is those text alerts automatically appear on the ODM webpage, so boulderodm.gov, and the PIOs don't have to do a second step. It just goes straight out to text and then appears on that webpage. It's pretty cool.
So Monica's going to create a really cool infographic to we just want to make sure it worked and got all the nuance done. So I think I'm feeling pretty good about that. So we'll be able to help the community with some programmatic or some information will help hopefully clarify for them. The other thing that happened was our GIS teams from the city and the county. We got rid of Zone Haven, which was now Genesis EVAC, just so people know. City still has a contract, but the county contract expired. And the reason why is we have developed an API or a feed that goes directly from our Everbridge system. So when the incident commanders call for an evac, whether it's an advisory and warning or an order, whatever it is, it could be a flood polygon, one of the all hazard polygons, or a circle or a weird shape, whatever's drawn, the minute our dispatch centers, this is Longmont all the way to the city of Boulder, the minute they push it, it goes right to the Boulder ODM.gov forward-facing map. Automatically downloads, automatically clears. There's no human interface, which was required with the Genesis EVAC system. So that is just helping us kind of get ahead of the things with some information and pushing that out to the community. So that's great. A couple other things that are coming up though around preparedness, which is also about looking at capability assessments. I'll jump out here, Chris, just mute me if you want me to, but we've been doing some work with our fire department on conflagration response and also our PD around advanced evacuation planning and decision assistance software. So there's some things coming there we're pretty excited about. When we get that done, we'll be able to roll that out to other fire departments and police departments across the county to give them a baseline of what possibly could be, a structure of how they could get through the scenario planning to help them build and evaluate their capabilities as a fire department and a police or law enforcement agency to assess their evacuation capacity And so some neat things there. So we'll be able to share that out here in another month or two. So some exciting stuff happening in that space. And that's all we really have for you on preparedness, unless anyone else has anything else. But we really want to make sure you're aware of this, because we realize that as elected and senior officials, you're either directing people to do things programmatically, or you may have distribution lists and you have community groups that you're interfacing with, looking for that partnership. You know, if you need some guidance, give us a call. But if you go on the website, grab whatever you want, feel free to amplify the products that we have available, get it out into your distribution list or the groups you're meeting with, and really help us get a push and put some thought to that. Because if we make a real hard, concentrated effort around September, that might be a, this sort of surge of information we're starting to experience. And Allison and Kianika probably, and other electeds that are really tied closely to their communities around the Marshall Fire. We're hitting year 3. And in every disaster, we get to about year 3, we see that off the edge it goes with engagement. People that are still heavily involved in recovery, or maybe still have some emotional connection to it, will have some experiences that keep it elevated in their life. But a lot of people will start moving off of this, I want to have a preparedness, or I'm really interested in information. For example, like the fire that happened, the dinosaur fire, those things will spike throughout year 3 and 4. That'll drive some immediate needs. We're trying to position ourselves with preparedness programs and messaging that we can be in the moment and capture when that window opens back up for a couple of months after that, to try to seize the opportunity to do some messaging. And then the thing I've got Monica working on, and Ryan, this will be a surprise. No, maybe it won't be a surprise, but and this is for folks that have a lot of recovery experience. We're looking at a lot of partnership here. One of the things that we're just talking about the other day was we probably need to do better around recovery preparedness. We do a lot about disaster preparedness and alert and warning and evacs, but there's so much in that space that I think we could really help people with an understanding and maybe educate them into how they can have resiliency on that other side of an incident. God forbid it happens again. So that's something we're looking for late 24 into 25. So a lot of experience on this call, a lot of experience across county in that disaster recovery space. So recovery preparedness is the new thing we're looking to kind of tackle and increase some capacity there. So that's all I have, Commissioner.
Great, thank you. I really appreciate, Monica, thanks for the presentation. If it's a presentation you're willing to share with us, if you want to send that to Mark Resson, and then he'll send it out to the group for folks to just have. There were some different links in there that people may want to check out and do a little bit of research. And so our commitment tonight was until 5:45, so I'm very cognizant that we've gone over time. And we've had some great discussion and some really important information, so I'm really grateful for that. One of the pieces that the next step is electeds. What do we want to do regionally together? We've heard about a lot of opportunities. So what I want to ask is if folks want to have another, really would just be a brief meeting to talk about, is there one piece or maybe 2 events that we could all rally around and use social media and our own platforms and elevate in different ways to try and do the work that we're all trying to do. So that's really the follow-up conversation from the last June 5th consortium meeting. So my ask right now, and I'm just going to ask you to use this is like, yes, I'm all in and I want to do a meeting before September. I'm not sure yet, or I just don't have the capacity, which is all 3 of them are great. Okay, thanks. Thank you. What I think we'll do, Mark and I will set up an invite of time, and if you can make it, great. If you want to have representative from your council join in the conversation, just so you're in the know about what we're going to decide to do. And again, we are not building, we're not hiring, we're not creating. We've got all these resources, events already being planned, but I think that might give Monica and other staff folks an opportunity to come back with specific dates. And you all don't have to attend, you could just send those to us. You're always welcome, but there might be, with some firm dates, then we could, as collective electeds, make some commitments on a couple of pieces. So that's the ask. And again, the ask to be involved will be 1 more meeting, and then to whatever we commit together in September. That's the full ask. So I just want to again appreciate everybody's time, interest, and this video will also get sent out by Mark with the presentation. And so if you want to send it to your fellow council members and or your mayors to make sure that they have an opportunity just to hear, and that might help spur along some resource and support as well. So thank you so much, everybody. And Monica's emails in the chat. You'll get the information in case you have some more questions that you can follow up with her on too. So thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Take care.